This is an executive order on seafood competitiveness. Currently, we have two basic problems here. One is that the American seafood industry is dramatically overregulated. The other is that we have unfair trade practices from our foreign trading partners relating to the seafood industry. So this executive order is going to attempt to address both of those. The Department of Commerce, other federal departments and agencies are going to work with the fisheries to establish common sense regulatory reform. I think we're expecting to move as quickly as we can.
You know what you know exactly what we're talking about already, right? It's crazy. The regulation.
It is.
Secretary Lutnick is going to fast track that, I can assure you.
Howard, please, go ahead.
Sure. So you just heard us, the economic zone around Hawaii and Samoa is huge, and it's exclusively ours. So why wouldn't we have our fishermen fish there? I mean, imagine saying our own fishermen, every country in the world, they all fish the 200 miles off their coast, and we were stopping our own fishermen from going off the coast. It's totally the opposite of common sense. That's why President Trump has changed it. Now let's talk about regulation. If you're not even going to let them fish, imagine the regulations that have been written to stop our fishermen from just surviving and thriving. We have the greatest coasts in the world with the greatest fishermen in the world, and we need to let them do their great jobs, raise and capture fish, bring them to our tables, have America have the greatest fish in the world, which we have, and then let them export all these other countries. They stop us from exporting. That's going to be over with your leadership and your trading policies. We're going to open all of these markets, and we're going to let our fishermen thrive and prosper, and we are going to have lower cost fish, more of it, and the freshest fish in the world. And this is just common sense for the United States of America.
A short time ago, the Supreme Court agreed to hear oral arguments in the case about ending birthright citizenship. How confident are you that the court will rule in your favor and allow that order to end birthright citizenship to go forward?
Well, you're just telling me that for the first time. I am so happy. I think the case has been so misunderstood. That case, birthright citizenship, is about slavery. If you look at the details of it, the signings of it, everything else, that case is all about slavery. And if you view it from that standpoint, people understand it. But for some reason, lawyers don't talk about it, the news doesn't talk about it. That's not about tourists coming in and touching a piece of sand and all of a sudden they're a citizenship. They're a citizen. That is all about slavery. And even look at the dates on which it was signed. It was right at that era, right after the Civil War. And if you look at it that way, the case is an easy case to win. And I hope the lawyers talk about birthright citizenship and slavery, because that's what it was all about. And it was a very positive, it was meant to be positive. And they use it now instead, not for slavery, they use it for people that come into our country and they walk in and all of a sudden they become citizens and they pay a lot of money to different cartels and others. It's all about slavery, and if you look at it that way, we should win that case. Okay.
Mr. President, following that, we have a great relationship with the President of El Salvador. Will you ask him to release Abrego Garcia so that you can facilitate his return here to the United States? And do you believe he deserves due process here?
Well, I must tell you, I have to refer again to the lawyers. I'll have to do what they asked me to do. I had heard that there were a lot of things about a certain gentleman.
We're learning that there are now 2 deceased following that shooting at Florida State University. Following and amid that, is there any changes that you want to see to gun legislation? Anything you see broken with gun laws in our country?
I'm going to have to look. I'm a big advocate of the Second Amendment. I have been from the beginning. I protected it, and these things are terrible. But the gun doesn't do the shooting. The people do. It's a phrase that's used probably too often. I will tell you that it's a shame. I'm just hearing about it now. I just hear about it. I know the area very well. I know the school very well. I know everything about it. It's Florida. And we'll have more to say about it later.
What do you mean when you say there will be more to say about it?
Only in terms of what happened. As far as legislation is concerned, this has been going on for a long time. I have an obligation to protect the Second Amendment. I ran on the Second Amendment, among many other things. and I will always protect the Second Amendment.
Mr. President, a question about the United Kingdom. Reports that you're going to go and stay with the King in September. Can
Yes.
you confirm that? What are you looking forward to?
Well, I was invited by the King and by the country, great country, to. They're going to do a second, as you know, a second fest, and that's what it is. It's a fest, and it's beautiful. And it's the first time it's ever happened to one person, and the reason is that we have two separate terms. And it's an honor to be, I'm a friend of Charles. I have great respect for King Charles and the family, William. We have just a great respect for the family, and it's a very great honor that, and I think they're setting a date for September.
It's going to be a smaller visit initially, and then a bigger state visit to follow after.
Yeah, they say that it's going to be, I don't know how it can be bigger than the last one. The last one was, as you know, was incredible. But they say it's going to be even more important. So it's a great honor to be so chosen.
Yesterday you spoke with Japan. Is the Nippon Steel deal part of the tariff negotiations? Did you discuss that with them?
Could be, but I doubt it. I mean, I think we're going to view it separately. We want U.S. Steel to remain in the hands of the United States and people from the United States. And great respect for Japan, but we don't want a foreign country buying U.S. Steel. U.S. Steel was one of our great companies of the world. I mean, you go back 80 years, and it was the biggest, strongest, most powerful company in the world. And we're going to make it very strong and powerful again without Nippon. But if Nippon wants to come in, and I hear they're working on it very hard, I have great respect for Nippon Steel. I know a lot about it. But they can invest and they can do lots of things, partnerships. But we want to have U.S. Steel remain in this country.
So is that a stipulation you would put on these tariff negotiations?
I guess we could talk about it with regard to tariffs, Howard. I mean, it's something that could be a part of it. But tariff negotiations are actually simpler than that. I mean, we're going to set a number and people are going to pay that number, or they're going to decide to go elsewhere if there is such a place. There really is no elsewhere, I think.
In the first term, your Attorney General apologized to Tea Party groups who have been targeted by the IRS under the Obama administration. Why is it okay for the IRS to now be looking at changing the tax status of Harvard because of policy disagreements you have with the university?
So, I had dinner last night with a lot of pastors and ministers and people of faith, and there were like 32 of them, and it was beautiful in the Blue Room, and they said, "Sir, I was targeted by the IRS, and the FBI came in, sir, and I've been going through hell for years." And somebody overheard that statement, and they said, "Oh, that happened to me too." Another one overheard, "Oh, that happened to me too." It was the Biden people, and they had 7 or 8 of them. We're going to be reporting it very soon. I said, this has to be reported. These are ministers, pastors, evangelicals. They were targeted by the Biden administration, which was a disgraceful administration. Well, I was targeted more than anybody in history. I think you probably know that. I hope you admit it, but you might not. But I was targeted more than anybody in history. But it was interesting because one pastor told me, and another one heard it, "Oh, me too, and me too, me too, me too." All of a sudden they're all, and one of them spent all of his money, everything he had on lawyers, for 3 years, he said. It took place almost immediately after the election. After the election, when Biden came in, unfortunately for the country, sadly for the country. So when you ask me that question, I immediately say, let's switch it around to tell you what happened last night. And not only that, we're also finding that many people just having to do with Trump support have gone through hell. And they've used the IRS for purposes of something that's very illegal for them to have to do.
Were you trying to
It's a very illegal, it's a very, very illegal thing to do what they did. And I think it's such a shame. That was long what?
If that was wrong, why are you considering changing the tax status of Harvard?
Because I think Harvard's a disgrace. I think what they did was a disgrace. They're obviously anti-Semitic, and all of a sudden they're starting to behave. But when you see what they were saying, what they were doing, when you see the way they took care of events, when you watch that woman, that horrendous president that ruined the image of Harvard, maybe permanently, in Congress, in the halls of Congress. When you take a look at what happened there, it was horrific. And, I've looked at a lot having to do with it. I'm not involved in it. It's being handled by lawyers. I read about it just like you did. But tax-exempt status, I mean, it's a privilege. It's really a privilege. And it's been abused by a lot more than Harvard, too. By a lot more than Harvard. So we'll see how that all works out. I don't think they've made a final ruling. I don't believe they've made a final ruling, but it's something that these schools really have to be very, very careful with. Very anti-Semitic when you take a look, whether it's Columbia, Harvard, Princeton. I don't know what's going on, but when you see how badly they've acted, and in other ways also. So we'll be looking at it very strongly.